Okay, so we have all these United States, right? And there are people that live here, okay? How about we let them vote on who they want to be president, and then whoever gets the most votes wins? Is there a way that we can have this process make less sense? I'm going to be perfectly honest and say that the Electoral College has always boggled my mind. First of all, it is a beast that is confusing AF. Secondly, I find myself wondering why in the hell are we still using a system so damn old to elect the president? And then I remember that America still wets its pants over a 200-year-old piece of paper that is very relevant to this subject, so here we are. Oh my god, it's the Constitution! We're going to talk about what the Electoral College is, how it works, why we have it, do we need it, and can we get rid of it? So, hop on in. The Electoral College is the formal body that elects the President of the United States. Each state has what we call electors. These are people who are chosen by a political party because of their loyalty to that party and its chosen presidential candidate. There are several ways electors are chosen, such as state party conventions, state chair appointments, and presidential nominee appointments, to name a few. So states can essentially do their own thing when picking these people. It should be noted, however, all elected and appointed federal officials are prohibited from being electors. Everyone else is fair game. Each state gets as many electors as it has representatives and senators in Congress. Take California. They have 2 senators, all states do, and 53 members in the House of Representatives. Therefore, its electoral number is 55. The number of representatives a state has is dependent upon its population, and that is calculated based on the census. Thus, the results of the census have a direct impact on each state's weight in the Electoral College. There are 538 electoral votes on the table during a presidential election, and the goal is to achieve an absolute majority of those votes. That magic number is 270. How does a ticket get to 270? Let's break this down visually, mostly for me because, what? Say you're a voter in Pennsylvania, a state with 20 electoral votes. If the majority of that population votes for Donald Trump and Mike Pence, even by 1 vote, all of those electoral votes go towards the Republican ticket because most states operate on a winner-take-all basis, except Maine and Nebraska. If a ticket wins key states with heavy electoral weight, and if they can take home some swing states, states that could sway either Democrat or Republican, a candidate can absolutely lose the national popular vote, but win the presidency. I'm looking at you, Donald Trump, George W. Bush, Benjamin Harrison, Rutherford B. Hayes, and John Quincy Adams. This means that in reality, when you head to the polls on November 3rd, you are actually voting for the slate of electors vowing to cast their ballots for that candidate in the Electoral College. What the fuck? Why not just have the people decide? This is a democracy, isn't it? Well, kinda. At the Constitutional Convention in 1787, the Founding Fathers were like, so how are we gonna pick the president? Some men said Congress should do it, and some men said, but what about the people? The consensus was, okay, democracy, that's cool in theory, but we gotta keep it under control. These men did not want any entity to have a majority rule. They were still raw after being under the thumb of a monarch for so many years, so that explains that. In the end, they decided the people will have a voice, sure, but that voice will be limited. For example, do the people really have a say on how the Supreme Court rules? No. We just have to put faith in the president to make the right choice on the people's behalf. And what's worse is that we can't even be like, girl, thank God we only got 8 years with this fucker. Instead, we gotta wait for one of these people to die or retire. That is not democratic. Some framers of the Constitution like the idea of a popular vote. Some opposed it. White folks from the South were like, hell yeah, we like the Electoral College. We got a shit ton of Negroes who can't vote, but they're counted into our population as 3/5 of the union, so that gives us a bit of a leg up in the EC. However, if the president was solely determined by a national vote, the enslaved population couldn't participate because they did not have that right. Thus, the South wouldn't carry nearly as much weight in the presidential outcome. You want to hear something absolutely hysterical? Alexander Hamilton wrote in Federalist Paper number 68, "It is desirable that the sense of the people should operate in the choice of the president. It is equally desirable that the immediate election should be made by men most capable of analyzing the qualities adapted to the station. A small number of persons selected by their fellow citizens from the general mass would be most likely to possess the information and discernment requisite to such complicated investigations. Basically, he was like, the average American is dumb, ill-informed, and can't be trusted to elect the president. After all, there was no way to widely disseminate information. There was no CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, or Twitter. How did they cope? Probably well, because it's successful. He believed that these electors would have the ability to assess all the information given to them intelligently to come to an agreeable choice, and because of this, he believed, and I quote, the process of election affords a moral certainty that the office of president will never fall to the lot of any man who is not in an eminent degree endowed with the requisite qualifications. In now-time language, the Electoral College would prevent someone from being elected who wasn't qualified, who wouldn't be a threat to the Constitution, who wouldn't be morally bankrupt. It was supposed to prevent someone like Donald Trump from becoming president. With this solution, the Electoral College, the people would have a voice, but it wouldn't be supreme. So henceforth, I propose that we should say that America has democratic tendencies. That would be more accurate. Proponents of the Electoral College believe that without the advantage, politicians might ignore a large part of the country's voters, specifically those in smaller, more rural states. But opponents argue against that logic. They believe that the Electoral College distorts our politics by encouraging campaigns to concentrate their focus on states that are not representative of the country at large. The arguments from both sides are plentiful. My biggest question is, does our current existence in 2020 and beyond justify the Electoral College? However you feel about it, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. For the Electoral College to change or be thrown out completely, an amendment needs to be added to the Constitution, and that takes a 2/3 majority vote in the House and the Senate. And then 3/4 of the states have to agree. And why would any state consent to doing away with something that benefits them? It's more likely that I'll be struck by lightning 15 times in a row. Just listen. I'm no expert by any means, and I have many dumb thoughts. Thoughts that I should probably keep to myself. I'm saying all this because I'm about to say one of those thoughts. Maybe we need to start over. Like, all of it. Have a hard reset. Just get everyone together and be like, well, we gave that a shot. I mean, America is obsessed with the Founding Fathers, right? Well, white America is obsessed with the Founding Fathers. Black people, we have some notes. But it would be wise to paint a full picture of these men as human beings that came up with something that was of its time and flawed. Ben Franklin himself said, our Constitution is an actual operation. Everything appears to promise it will last, but in this world, nothing is certain but death and taxes. Moreover, Thomas Jefferson wrote in a letter to James Madison, 2 founding fathers, everyone, the question whether one generation of men has a right to bind another is a question of such consequences as not only to merit decision, but place also among the fundamental principles of every government. I was pretty shocked to find out that Thomas Jefferson believed that the Constitution should expire every 19 years, and that if it be enforced longer, it is an act of force and not of right. He said it. TJ. And if he said it, all I'm saying is that maybe it's time we give it all a good look-see. Maybe we'll discover that some improvements could be had. Class dismissed.